Welcome to episode 671 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard.
And I'm Richard Gunther, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe kind of a special Christmas episode. It's not really special and related to Christmas in any way. We're just recording a couple of days before Christmas.
Yep. Yep. Hey, I have Christmas colors at least, right? If you're watching the video, which you could be doing if you watch this episode on YouTube.
That's right. Go over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, get the notifications, all that stuff. I should have made I guess I have Christmas lights up there, but my normal blue lights behind me are still blue, and I probably should have made them green or red.
It's all good.
Yep. Well, we've got a fun show this week. Maybe the Christmas miracle is that there's any news to talk about at all, because there actually is. So we've got a couple of stories related to LG. They've got some upcoming LED TVs, and they are also, in a way, making it harder for you to watch your 4K HD Blu-rays, Ultra HD Blu-rays. Also, YouTube TV, massive price increase for us to chat about there, and big changes coming in the gaming handheld space next year. So a lot to jump into here. No feedback for us this week. If you'd like to send us some feedback, our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. So let's jump right into this news from LG. Richard, did you know that CES is in like a week and a half?
Not only do I know that, but I am so not ready for it. And yet I will be going for the first time in 4 years.
Oh, wow. I like that detail had kind of slipped my mind.
Yeah, actually 5 years now that I think about it. It was 2020 when it last went. So,
right.
2025 will be my first CES in person. We've done that whole remote thing. Man, that sucked.
It was not good. Not good at all. Yeah. Well, I bring up CES because LG kind of getting ahead of the CES news. They've been doing this the last few years where it seems like they're really trying to just clear the way for their really big news. So we're not going to be talking about OLEDs because that tends to be their biggest news. But instead, we're going to talk about their QNED Evo lineup. And the QNED Evo, this is it's their highest end of their LED TVs. And this year, there's some AI stuff. Of course, we'll get back to that in a second. I think the more interesting detail here is that they are bringing a feature to this line of TVs that was only available on their high-end OLEDs last year. And that is their wireless Zero Connect box. If you are someone who really wants a super clean install where you're hanging the TV on a wall, hopefully not above a fireplace, but maybe above a fireplace, and you don't want wires going to it, this is the answer. Because what this box does is you can put this little box pretty much anywhere in the room where your TV is. It just has to be within 30 feet of the TV. And it kind of works like they took the back control panel off of the TV and put it in a box because it has all of the HDMI inputs and all of that sort of stuff. And so you would connect to your game console or your TiVo. TiVo. Wow, really? No one's connecting a TiVo to these things?
Well,
where did my brain go there? Yeah. Your Roku, your Google TV, your Apple TV, whatever it is that you've got. You plug it into this box that can be sitting anywhere, and then it wirelessly broadcasts the signal to the TV. And we're talking it up to 4K resolution at up to 144 hertz refresh rate. So, like, we thought this was a pretty cool feature in the OLEDs last year. I kind of wondered if it would take off. I kind of wondered if it would stick around. And it is sticking around, and it's even coming down market. I think this is a really great feature for people.
Yeah, this is a fantastic feature. I saw this live at Cedia 2 years ago. And actually, it was just last year. Now that I think about it, man, time is so messed up now. Anyway, it's a really cool technology. Now, it works best when it has actual line of sight. So it says 30 feet away, but you pretty much want it so that people aren't going to walk in front of it, or, so you'd have it off to the side in the room, or maybe, who knows, maybe hidden behind something on the mantle. But it's just really nice. That's assuming that you do have the TV. Please don't put it over your fireplace. But if you do, and it's just a really nice way of just cleaning up the whole look. And, we joke all the time about how every single advertisement for every single electronic product just has it sitting out on a desk or sitting on a wall working with no wires whatsoever. It's magic, but that's not reality. So this gets you there, even if you have a really difficult installation. Like, let's say it is a fireplace and it's stone, and you're not going to be drilling through the stone to get wires behind the television. So I love this. I love that it's coming down market a little bit, and I hope we see more manufacturers doing stuff like this.
For sure. Now, you do still need power going to the TV. They're not wirelessly powering it, but
yes, you do.
For everything else, it can all be sent wirelessly. So the other AI features, of course, there's always got to be AI in a new product. Better picture quality. Well, I mean, yeah, they think so. They think everything needs to have AI.
Yeah.
And whether or not you want to actually call it AI is entirely up to you, I suppose. Richard wouldn't call any of this stuff AI, but they're going to be using AI upscaling and various video processing type functionality that you would expect. Like, the picture quality should be better than last year's. It will be partly due to their software AI rendering, most likely. The feature that I think is a little bit more realistic that you could notice more in your day-to-day use is they are planning to use, again, quote unquote, AI to help in a key area of the audio functionality of these TVs. And that is that they are going to use processing on the audio to specifically boost the volume of voices in the things that you're watching, and, to kind of quiet down some of the background sound so that it should be easier to hear what is actually being said in movies and TV shows, which is not always easy. I mean, frankly, for anybody on some shows, but especially for people who have some hearing impairments.
Right.
Like, there's the possibility that if this is done well enough, that maybe people won't have to have closed captioning on for everything like so many people do now. But so I'm curious to see or hear, I guess, how well this works in reality, and totally expect all of that functionality to be baked into all of the rest of their high-end TVs that they announce at CES in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. This audio thing is interesting to me. This is a Band-Aid. This is a fix to a problem that directors and producers have created in their content. And so we're having to, frankly, in my opinion, unnecessarily use clever algorithms and AI to adjust the volume so that you can actually hear things. It's absurd to me, and get off my lawn.
No, you're right. And like, you and I are people who appreciate good sound and loud and bass and, rumbles and all of that stuff, but not at the cost of being able to understand the dialogue.
Right. Exactly.
So it's good to see. And I don't know, maybe someday directors and producers will start to get the point. Because even in movie theaters, it's really hard a lot of times to understand what's being said.
Yep.
And you don't have any control over the audio there or subtitles. You're not getting any of those things in a movie theater. All right, let's move on to the other LG news. This feels like a little bit of a sad moment, but not entirely unexpected. Because maybe people didn't even realize it, but LG has also been, since 2018, producing 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players. As a standalone Blu-ray player, it probably like for a lot of people, it probably does sound like a relic. Like, really? People are still buying Blu-ray players? Well, these aren't just Blu-ray players. They're 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players. And now LG is saying, we're done producing the UBK80 and the UBK90. They're two primary 4K UHD Blu-ray players. They're not going to be like, there's some of them may still be available. I was able to find the UBK90 on Amazon still for about $350. But once these things sell out, they're not making any more. It is important to point out, though, that LG is not saying that they're 100% done forever when it comes to these 4K Blu-ray players.
Right.
But that just kind of feels like they're throwing us a bone at like, maybe. Does anybody really think that this market is going to suddenly rebound and grow? No.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the thing that they're keeping the door open for is the professional space. Because in the professional space where folks have, let's say, a high-end home theater and high-end audio and video equipment, maybe they don't want to pay the cost for a kaleidoscope machine and instead want to actually play the discs that they have. And so there is still going to be some market for these. It's just not going to be huge. It's going to be very specialized. And I think it's smart for them to not say, okay, we're done, we're out, we're not playing anymore.
Yes, I'm just not going to hold my breath waiting to see if they announce a new one.
I mean, we're never going to see something, for example, at Target again, right? That's just never going to happen again.
Yeah. So if you are looking to score a device that can play an Ultra HD Blu-ray player at Target, there are two options still. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X do still have Ultra HD Blu-ray players built in. There is one key piece of functionality that neither of them support, though, and that's Dolby Vision HDR. It's just not there. And
yeah,
it's kind of viewed as the better HDR format, but
yeah, but it costs money licensing.
Yeah. How much money? Come on. It doesn't seem like it would be that much money, but my guess is that Microsoft and Sony both are looking at the numbers of people actually using their devices to watch these Blu-ray players. And
Fair
it's
enough.
some tiny fraction of a percent of people.
Right.
And so there's just no reason to pay that cost for every single console if that feature is hardly being used.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if you remember back in the day with Media Center when you added your own drive and you wanted to play your own movies from your Media Center. If you wanted Dolby and if you wanted Atmos, or not Atmos, what was the other one? DTS.
DTS HD. Yeah.
That DTS, that you had to usually pay for a plugin,
right,
for the software to be able to get that additional licensed capability.
Right. Yeah. With the gaming consoles, the thing that's kind of frustrating about it is there is a version of Dolby Vision specifically made for gaming. Both of the consoles support it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, right. They have it on the games. Yeah,
right.
Because that's what people are using.
Yeah, but come on, like, is it that much more? Can we get a bundle deal on Dolby Vision gaming?
Dolby Labs, give these guys a deal. Come on, just bundle it in there.
Or can we just make it an add-on that consumers can purchase? Can I just give you $10 to have Dolby Vision Blu-ray support?
Well, that's an interesting thought, right? And Microsoft has done that in the past with, add-on support for even codecs, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah, you can do that for a Dolby Audio codec on your Xbox. So let me pay for Dolby Vision too. That'd be kind of nice. All right. So until then, your only options are very, very high-end devices. We're talking like $1,500 Blu-ray players. And like Richard said, that is for the professional audience or for the people with a very particular use case in their massive home theater or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, Richard, I'm sure you've got opinions on this last story in our video section. YouTube TV, of which I believe you're a subscriber.
I am.
So you're the one who broke this news to me when you got the email that said your monthly subscription is going up just a tiny bit.
Yeah. Next month, my subscription to YouTube TV is going up more than 10% from $72.99 to $82.99. And we normally don't put those 99s in there, but it's just it just kind of adds to the punch this time, I think. Because we're $82.99 now is what you're paying for, and this is not adding any packages. This is not adding 4K video. This is not adding any sports or extra premium stations or anything. For basic streaming equivalent of cable, you're now paying $82.99, or you will be in January if you still continue to use YouTube TV. Wow. I went back and looked at what I started with, and I believe I was paying under $60. Now, granted, that was probably with an initial deal for the first couple of months, but for at least a year, I think I was paying 60 something, and then it jumped to 70 something, and now it's going to be 80 something. $10 seems to be the magic point that they just add each time. Now, in this Verge article, it mentions that the average cable bill is about $147 a month, but there's more in that, right? Like that usually doesn't that include your internet service and stuff like that?
I believe this is just for the cable TV portion of a cable bill.
So you're telling me that there are still people that for the equivalent of, let's say, the 110 channels that I get, I don't even know if it's that, they're paying $147? Like, it's gotten that insane?
It has gotten that insane.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was listening to someone just the other day who said they do still have cable TV and internet. And between the two, because they're getting internet through their cable provider, and it must not be actually bundled all that well, because between the two is $250 a month. And that's nuts. Yeah.
That's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So it's going up a lot. And I think I feel the need to say this whenever we talk about the prices of these services going up, because we talk about the cost of services going up all the time. And it makes people feel like every service that they pay for is constantly going up, but it's not actually the case. And while this one is the one making the biggest news, and it's partly because $83 a month is more than you're paying for probably any other service, any other video streaming service, it hasn't gone up that recently. The last time YouTube TV increased their prices was March of 23. So a year and a half ago. So it's not even like they're raising it every year. It's been a year and a half since they last raised it.
Or
more than a year and a half.
Yeah. It's still hard to stomach.
It is. And it makes it, if you're looking at this number and you're kind of shocked, well, it actually, to put it into perspective, makes it the same price as Hulu plus live TV.
Right.
Which, if you don't have Hulu with live TV, you can sign up now at a special 3-month introductory offer where you save $30 a month. So
what a deal.
That is a potential option if you had been thinking, hey, it is the end of the year. There's so many college football bowl games that I want to watch, and they're all on ESPN. I was just about to sign up for YouTube TV to watch all of this. Maybe sign up for Hulu with live TV to watch it instead. Or if you really want to be cheap about it, just go and sign up for Sling, because that's the cheapest way to get ESPN right now. But if you're a current subscriber, you actually do have a little bit of an option. And at least one of our listeners already successfully pulled this off. He tried canceling. And when he did, he was offered 6 months at the current price before it goes up instead of it going up in January. Have you tried this route, Richard?
I haven't, because I don't know that I want to play chicken with an algorithm. What if it just says, okay, you're canceled, right? I mean, then I come home, or then Edward comes home and there's no TV, right? I don't know that that's the best plan. So I need to explore this and see how this works exactly. I'm sure there's probably an "Are you sure you want to cancel?"
right
option to bail, but
and even if you do fully cancel, you could just sign up again.
I could. Here's the thing. I completely understand that some of this is out of their control. Now, they gave an explanation that, they need to deal with the rising cost of content and improving quality of service, blah, blah, blah. Of course. But we know all too well, with all of these standoffs that you see between content providers and the various pipes that get them to your TV, that this stuff is real, that the prices are going up constantly. So I understand that. That doesn't help with the emotional response, though, right? Like it doesn't settle my knee-jerk reaction to $10, because that does seem extreme. But I'll pay it. And one of the reasons I pay it is because it's an easy to use service. It integrates seamlessly with the Google TV experience, which I love. So I don't know that I really have that much of a choice. I could go back to Sling. I didn't like Sling. I don't think they've improved the things about Sling that I didn't like, which is differences in what you can record, what you can't record, what you can rewind, what you can't rewind, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, here we are. We're not quite at it's cable all over again, but these prices remind me of what I was paying for cable.
Right. Yeah. When you think back to when YouTube TV first launched, and if you got in at the very, very beginning, it was $35 a month.
Yep.
The good old days. All right. Well, let's jump into our one and only gaming story for this week. And this is, we haven't produced an episode in a couple of weeks, and this whole storyline has actually been evolving over that time. And so I'm really only going to throw one major link at you over in the show notes at thedigitalmediazone.com. But a couple of weeks ago, actually, I think maybe even further back than that, Valve, the company that owns Steam, that owns the Steam Deck, that is basically the big behemoth in PC gaming, announced we're going to bring back this idea of Steam OS and Steam boxes. I mean, they didn't actually say Steam boxes, but they did say that Steam OS is a thing that they would start making an actual thing of its own. Steam OS being the operating system that runs on the Steam Deck handheld gaming PC. And so immediately the thought is, so back in, I believe it was 2013, Richard and I were at CES, and there was news there that, Steam is going to try to make Steam machines, is what they were called at the time. And me and so many of the other people in the gaming industry said, no one will want these. No one wants a pre-made gaming PC with a proprietary Steam OS on it. It doesn't make sense. And it didn't make sense at the time, and it failed, and none of these really went anywhere. Things have changed a lot in the last 12 or 13 years, though. SteamOS is powering the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is a fantastic gaming device. It gives you PC gaming on a device that you can easily carry around that looks like a Nintendo Switch, but bigger. And it gives you the ability to play lots of games on the go without nearly as much fussing around with it as it typically requires when you're playing any game on a PC, even if it's through Steam. Because if you're playing a game on a PC, you're probably messing with all of the video quality settings, and you're keeping your drivers up to date and all of that stuff that some PC gamers love, but a lot of console gamers are like, who wants to deal with that nonsense? I just want to grab a controller and play a game. SteamOS simplifies a lot of that. It doesn't have Windows. It's just turn this thing on and play games from Steam. Now we're at a place where SteamOS can work because despite the fact that it's Linux, they have software on top of it that makes it natively play games that were built for Windows without major performance issues. And so now we're at a place where we've got the right operating system, we've got the right technology that's proven that Steam can reasonably go out to PC manufacturers and things like that and say, how about now? How about you take SteamOS now and make a device that could sit on somebody's desk or sit under somebody's TV and give them the Steam experience of playing games on a bigger screen, maybe with more powerful hardware than what is in the Steam Deck. And I think we're going to see a bunch of those at CES in a couple of weeks. I think there's a strong possibility. But the real news, the link that we're going to have in the show notes here is, because a lot of that is guessing, Lenovo and their Legion gaming division sent out an announcement that they will have a big presentation at CES. And they are planning to have a higher up from Steam on stage with them, and I believe he's the VP of Xbox Next Gen is his title, also on stage with them. Why does this matter? Because they're almost definitely releasing a follow-up version to their Legion Go gaming handheld. And while the Legion Go that is available now and is a really good device, it runs Windows, which has a lot of benefits. It means you can get Xbox Game Pass on it. You can get the Epic Store, all of the other stores, including Steam. But it's still a Windows machine, and that has some issues when it comes to, you probably can't use a game controller to close one of the security pop-ups that comes up in Windows from time to time. Because it's still Windows and it's not perfect yet. So what is almost definitely going to be announced is a Legion Go with SteamOS. And so it will most likely be the first gaming handheld running the Steam operating system that isn't a Steam Deck. And that's good. It's bringing more competition and more features and just different features and functions to the handheld space in the operating system that most people kind of want right now. So I think that's exciting. What I think could be really exciting is what Microsoft is doing there. The most likely thing, and by that I also mean the most boring thing, is that they're just going to be saying, yeah, we've got two versions of this new device. One will have SteamOS, one will have Windows. Pick the one you want that will serve you best. What would be really cool, though? What would be really, really cool is if they were using this as an opportunity to say that Xbox has worked with Steam and they now have a way of running Xbox, Windows Xbox-y type games, hopefully Game Pass in SteamOS. Because if you could run Game Pass in SteamOS, then that's what I like. That's paradise. That's what I think most people want, because the PC Game Pass library is huge. Like, it's got a ton of great games. It's cheap. It's only $10 a month compared to the $20 for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And if they were able to find a way to make this work on Linux through all of that emulation or whatever that technical magic is that Steam has figured out to make these Windows games work so well on SteamOS, that would be amazing. And it really leads further down that path that Xbox is trying to walk of this everything is an Xbox. A Steam Deck isn't an Xbox right now. A Legion is an Xbox. A Legion Go or an Asus ROG Ally, those, this whole everything is an Xbox ad campaign, that works with those devices. But a Steam Deck, it's not an Xbox right now. But if it could be an Xbox, then it's the Xbox that I want in my hands.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I I think we're in store for some really cool gaming handheld announcements at CES in just a couple of weeks. And it's probably going to start with Lenovo's Legion division.
Cool.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that's it for our gaming news this week. Richard, let's go into what's going on in our entertainment centers.
Yeah, so not as much as usual because I've been really busy with the holidays and trying to wrap up the year. But I did watch another episode of Jessica Jones. We had the series finale of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm so bummed that that is ending because that has been such a great show. They did a really fun finale. And I encourage people to go check that out if you haven't watched it yet, because it was great. Ghosts had a Christmas episode that was a lot of fun. It was a two-part episode. So I thought they did a very clever thing there and made that a lot of fun. I finished Agatha All Along, and I say finished, not really knowing if it is finished, right? Like we talked about this. Is this a filler that bridges between stories, or is there going to be more of this? And I can see from the ending how they could be more of this, unless they're just going to take these characters and put them in the next film or films. So,
right.
I don't know.
Did you like it?
I did. It was so weird. And and she is just so much.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's just so over the top and unnecessarily nasty. And so I have some problems with that, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was cool. For sure. We also watched, finally, Barbie.
Yeah, kidding, finally.
I know, right? Well, I've been trying to get my friend to watch this forever, and we've been talking about it, and we haven't had enough time to sit down and do it. So we finally sat down and did it last weekend, and what a fun movie. That was just so much fun. And I did see some of the scenes that were kind of spoilers to the literalism that they play out in this movie. And it's just so much fun. I mean, all the places that they can take it, it's just so much fun. And, I know you had a lot of people complaining that it was kind of preachy and it was so much on message, but it's also just a whole lot of fun.
Yes.
So I really can't recommend this movie enough if you just like quirky comedies, because it's a really good quirky comedy with so much pop culture in it. It's crazy.
Yeah. I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah, for sure. And then I needed a new book to bridge between the last book that I read and when we're going to start our new book club book. And I really didn't want to read yet another political nonfiction thing. Not that I don't like those,
right,
because I do, but I needed a break. And so based on your recommendation from a few weeks ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, I purchased The House in the Cerulean Sea and have started that. And I have really no idea what's going on, but I'm enjoying it. And it's not normally the thing that I would generally listen to or read, but it's fun.
Yeah, like if you were looking for a break, this is a great break book. It's so good.
It is so far very entertaining. And then as a podcast recommendation, I want to come in with another one that I have not recommended before. This is a podcast called the Home Cinema Design Podcast. A guy I know in the UK, Owen Maddock, and his co-host, Tom Delacompagni, host this show, and they go deep into the technology and the physics and the space design and the color design and everything that goes into designing home theaters. They are home theater installers and designers themselves. And so they take you through all the kinds of things that they put into creating a home theater for people. A lot of it's way over my head, but Owen is a riot. He's so much fun to listen to. And I know Owen for a number of years now, and he actually helped out quite a bit with my friend Adam's home theater design. So if you're interested in learning about how you build a home theater or how a professional builds a home theater, I highly recommend the Home Cinema Design Podcast, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Awesome. Well, I actually have a fair amount of stuff going on in my entertainment center.
I know, I'm surprised, but it is the holidays now, so maybe have a little more time.
Yeah, maybe. Although I didn't feel like I had very much time really until last week ended, and I took time off work. So on the gaming front, it's more of the usual Diablo, Call of Duty, a little bit of NHL, and then I'm still working my way through Tales of Kanzara Zhao. I'm very close to the end. I'm still really, really liking that game. It's not the greatest Metroidvania ever, but it's really well done. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's not too hard. TV. Like I said, it's been a few weeks since we've done the show. In the meantime, the biggest award show in video gaming, maybe the only one, maybe it's not the only one, but the biggest one happened, and it's just called the Game Awards, hosted by Jeff Keighley. And I think longer term listeners of the show might remember that I was really fed up with how last year went, that there were just a lot of issues. It was so much time spent on the video game trailers and just other ridiculous fetishes of Jeff's, and not enough time spent like letting people receive awards and thank people for them and things like that, and no acknowledgement of all of the bad things going on in the industry. There was a lot to be frustrated with after last year's Game Awards, and I had planned to just not watch this year, but it was on a Thursday night. I was working on editing the last episode of this show, and I thought I can put it on in a window while I'm working on the podcast. It'll be fine. I ended up watching the whole thing. And I'm not sad that I did, because is it perfect? Did they solve everything? No. But Jeff Keighley clearly listened to the feedback that he got after last year's show, and he made a lot of changes. A lot. Not everything, but a lot.
Cool.
Including one of the ones that I felt was the biggest issue is he actually talked about the layoffs in the industry and how rough it's been for developers over the last couple of years. Well, he didn't talk that much about it, but what he did do is he introduced a new award called the TGA Game Changer Award. And the first ever winner of this award was given to a guy, I can't remember his name, I probably should have written it down, who has specifically worked to help basically as a job coach for people who've specifically been laid off in the games industry, to help them with interviewing skills and resume writing and all of this stuff. And he's just done a lot of really great work, I think for free, which is kind of bananas, to all of these people in an industry that he doesn't even work in. He just loves it. And that's pretty great. So that was a nice welcome change there. They're still tweaking the balance on how much time should be dedicated to awards on the Game Awards versus game trailers. It's getting better. It's still not perfect. There are still some awards that I think could be considered somewhat major awards that are either given out in the pre-show or they're just kind of rattled off. Like they'll basically come back from a commercial break and be like, and now we're going to announce the winners of these 3 categories. And they just announce them, but they don't even allow the people to come up on stage to accept them. And maybe the weirdest, biggest one that is still in that lump of like second-class citizen awards is best role-playing game. Like 3 of the games nominated for Game of the Year were role-playing games, and yet best role-playing game, you didn't even get to go and accept your award on stage and give a speech. That seems ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nuts. Now, are the trailers actually sponsorships? Is that one of the reasons that it's out of balance?
I'm sure that's a huge part of it. Yeah. And the trailers are great, but it's not like you have to watch the Game Awards to see all of these trailers. They're all on YouTube the minute the Game Awards are over. So you don't have to, but it was a more entertaining show this year. It did feel like a better use of my time than some of the previous years. So I'll probably end up watching again next year, and we'll see if it gets better. All right, so that's the Game Awards. Also watching Lions football. Still watching some Silo season 2. I don't know what episode number we're on. We've still got more to watch. Are all of the episodes out? Are they done?
No, they're still coming out. I am so behind, though. I watched the first episode and I haven't watched anything since then.
There was also news that Silo has been renewed for seasons 3 and 4.
2 more seasons, and that will be the end.
And that's it. Which made me think, well, crap. Maybe I need to get back to reading the book then. And Jen said, there's something about the books that you're kind of forgetting. And she's like, if they're only doing 4 seasons of this, I think there's a big thing about the book that they're just not going to spend as much time on. They're going to do it differently and it'll still work. So she feels good about it, given the fact that she actually remembers all 3 books and I don't.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I think it's good. I think that'll work out well. We also, this I think actually goes back to Thanksgiving. I just forgot to put it in the notes. Jen and I decided to check out I think it's called Man on the Inside, the newish Ted Danzig show on Netflix, I believe it is. And it's from the producers, or at least some of the creators of The Good Place. And it has Ted Danzig. And I'm like, all right, cool. I will give this a try for sure. And he's like basically working as an undercover dude for a private investigator investigating a nursing home, basically. And there are a lot of funny aspects to it, but there's also a fairly serious subplot to it. Maybe serious isn't the right word, but like kind of serious. I can't think of a better term for it. And I'm just not hooked on this show. Like it's not as funny. It's not nearly as funny as The Good Place. And it's not like I don't like serious shows. The vast majority of things that I watch are serious. So I don't think that's it. I just think it's just not as good as The Good Place. And so it doesn't feel like as good of a use of my time, which is a dumb thing to say about comedies, right? Like,
well, I mean, either you think it's good or it's not. And if you don't enjoy it, then why stick with it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying this as a completionist, and you know that I stick with things that I don't really like, and I really have to dislike them to fall away. But Arrow, or no, actually, it wasn't Arrow. It was The Flash.
Oh yes,
that's the last thing I can remember. Just completely dropping and saying, "Yep, I'm done with you."
Yeah. So I don't think I'll be going back to that. Jen might, but she hasn't yet. And then also Severance is coming back in a few weeks. And I remember really liking Severance. I don't remember much about it though. But I'm also starting my marathon training again. So I thought this is a show I could rewatch on the treadmill to get ready for the next one. So I started that today. And yeah, that show is so well done.
It is.
I really like watching that. Books.
It is.
Books. This is going to be another one that I think should eventually go on your reading list, Richard. It's a book called Cloud Cuckoo Land. We're reading it for my book club at work. I just finished it Friday, I think. It is longer. I think it's about a 16-hour audiobook. It's still not like Tom Clancy land of long books, but a little bit longer. It's hard for me to describe, but it's a really good fiction that weaves a tale that it seems to span a couple thousand years, and it still ties all of these plot lines together in some really interesting ways. The book had some really it was a really good mix of like really making you think through some really interesting things and also building really strong emotional connections to some of the characters. Like it seems like most books you get either or. In this one, they got both. They really nailed it. It's such a cool book. And then I wanted to a little bit follow your trend of picking podcasts. This isn't a particular podcast directly, but I was listening to one of many of the NPR podcasts that I've been listening to for years. Like I've literally been listening to a show called Left, Right, and Center from an NPR studio in California for 20, it's got to be almost 20 years now. Like before people were even really calling these things podcast, I've been listening to the show. And never once have I actually given any money to NPR. And I thought that should probably be a crime at this point. So, plus, it just seems like the ads keep getting worse and worse on the NPR podcast. So I thought, screw it.
I'm sure they do.
I'm going to look into this NPR Plus thing. And they actually do it the right way. I pay them $8 a month. They give me customized RSS feeds that I can plug into Pocket Cast or whatever podcast player you want to use. So it's not like I have to use the NPR app or anything like that. And $8, like, because it's either $4 for one ad-free show or $8 for like 15 of them or something like that. Maybe it's 20. It's a bunch of shows that fall into the NPR Plus bucket. And it's a fantastic deal. So go in and like, if you're listening to NPR stuff and you're not giving them money, this is a great way to start giving them money in a way that helps them and gets rid of the ads for you.
Yeah. And I want to jump on that a little bit. I know I've talked in the past, and you and I both listened to some stuff from Marketplace, which is also public radio. Public radio right now really needs our support. The journalism space in general is just getting decimated. Ads are ruining journalism, and promotional content is ruining journalism in so many areas. And the public radio space and public news space is doing their best to resist that. And if they can get a couple bucks from us and not have to rely on sponsors, or I forget what they call them because they're not really sponsors when they're not for profit, but help them out. It's great for them. I contribute to Marketplace. I should be contributing to NPR. Public radio is a great resource that we all take for granted, and we all benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, very well said. We're recording the show live, which means we've got a live chat room. Sharp Dressed Penguin in the chat says that he thinks NPR's podcasts are included with Amazon Music, Prime Music, whatever they call it. I think he's right, but I don't want to switch to a different app to listen to my podcast, especially the daily ones, like the like 10, 15-minute news things that I just want to listen to every day. I want them to automatically show up in my player, automatically be made the next thing in my playlist. I don't want to switch apps. And I will pay $8 a month to support NPR and have that functionality that I want.
I mean, I think this is good to know. If you're interested in this content and you want to get it ad free, that's great. That's really good. I am, and I think you are, privileged enough now that I care more about donating to public radio to listen to this than to be able to get them for free.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this show. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do it in a bunch of different ways. All of our contact information is over at the website, www.thedigitalmediazone.com. We're on social media. I'm Josh Pollard on Twitter and Blue Sky. Really, just go to Blue Sky. I'm so done with Twitter. Richard is completely done with Twitter. He's not there at all anymore. You can find him on Mastodon at Richard Gunther. But you're on Blue Sky now too, right?
I am on Blue Sky. I have had a couple people follow me there. I'm mostly kind of clued into the maker community on Blue Sky. And I noticed that there's like this split. It seems that people are either on Mastodon or on Blue Sky, not often both. So now I have, a split screen column of two windows on the left of every screen on my computer.
And what's your name on Blue Sky?
On Blue Sky, I am richardgunther.com.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. And then we throw most of these video podcasts up on YouTube also. So head on over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe over there. And if you're following us on social, you will probably find out when we are doing these shows live so that you can be in the chat room and participate as we record the show. But that's going to do it for episode 671. He's Richard Gunther, and I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.
Goodbye. So we didn't